You know, we acquired a tract of land about 2 years ago. This will be the third season we've actually hunted this tract of land. And it's right across the road from a pretty good sized sawmill, so naturally we named the tract of land the Sawmill Tract. Well, first year we had this property, we hardly hunted it at all. We got it 2/3 of the way through the season and didn't really take anybody down there to hunt, although Ed and myself did hunt it once or twice. The first evening anybody ever hunted the Sawmill Tract, right at the edge of dark, Ed got a glimpse of what we knew was a monster deer. We knew it was going to be a booner. Ed did. I never saw the deer. Never got a trail cam picture of the deer the first year. And so we were looking forward, really looking forward to last fall when we started putting our trail cameras out and hoping to get a glimpse of this big buck. Well, as luck would have it, last fall we started getting our trail cameras out and end of June, 1st of July, and we started trying to find and locate this big buck that we'd saw the year before. You know, we had 4 or 5 really nice bucks here on the Sawmill Tract. Believe it or not, though, every time I'd get a picture of a new buck and think it's the one we're looking for, I'd show it to Ed, and Ed would say, "Nah, that ain't the deer I saw. That's not the deer I saw." And I'm thinking, after a while, I start thinking, you know, well, Ed must be crazy. But anyhow, finally, about mid-October, early to mid-October, got another picture of a buck that we hadn't had on camera before. Lo and behold, it was the Sawmill Buck. Now guys, as I'd said, we had 4 or 5 really nice deer on camera already. And when this guy showed back up early October last fall, I knew right off we had to get somebody on this deer. Somebody needed to be hunting that blind every day until we harvested this deer. Took as many clients as I could take down. If you guys come up here, Devin, I know you were hunted there. Todd, you hunted down there. John, you hunted down there. Tried our best to get one of you guys on this buck. Just never really did work out. Well, season rolls on and it gets down to gun season, and don't have any clients in camp. And Ed decides, hey, I'm gonna come up and I'm gonna hunt a little bit. Fix me up a place at the Sawmill Tract. So I go down. Been baiting this place anyway. Been getting pictures of the Sawmill Buck here pretty regular. And I go in and bait this place up, get ready. And as I'm actually on the way there to do the baiting for Ed, Ed gives me a call and says, look, something's came up, I can't go. Well, I'm 2/3 of the way there. I go on down, bait the place, go back to the truck, and I figure, well, you know, nobody's gonna hunt it. I've just came up here and baited. I got an hour and a half before dark. I'm gonna walk back up here and I'm gonna get in this blind and just for giggles and see what happens this afternoon. Wouldn't you know it, that was the evening the Sawmill Buck decided he wanted to come around. So you guys take a look at the hunt here. We'll show you how everything happened. We'll talk about it. And then a little later on, we're gonna go with our good buddy Rick Robson over here in Dobson, North Carolina, taxidermist. I got in touch with Rick and got him to mount up this deer, and we'll show you guys a little bit of that and kind of walk the story of the Sawmill Buck all the way through. It's the second day of gun season here in Ohio. Had a customer yesterday morning killed a monster deer on the main farm, and glad to be a part of that. And you guys will see him on the show, I'm sure. But today, I'm trying to do it myself here on our property up here in Ohio, and we're gonna sit here till dark. I just rode the 4-wheeler in here. I rode it all the way up. I baited, went ahead and did everything I needed to do. Rode the 4-wheeler back out like I was leaving. I came back in real quietly, walked in here and got in the blind. So I've been doing the 4-wheeler in and out here baiting for the last 2 months, and these deer are used to that. They hear that, and hopefully they'll think I've left. They'll come on down here and get them some bait, and we're gonna put it on them this evening if they do. So you guys stick with us, and we'll see what happens. Well, let me set the scene a little bit for you here before we get started. I'm in the blind. I've got a bait pile here in front of me, and not expecting a deer to come from my left at all, just to be honest with you.
There's a cornfield over to my left, and it's hunting in the evenings, and I'm kind of expecting a deer to either come down off the hill or come from my right. So I've sit all the way up against the left side of this blind to try to hide in here, and I've got the windows closed on that side and not even considering getting a shot out that side of the blind. Well, not long after I get into the blind here, I'm sitting and looking out the front here towards the bait pile, and sure enough, here comes the lone doe. She's by herself, and well, now, as most of y'all know, this time of year here, anytime you got a lone doe in the bait pile by herself, you better keep your eyes open, because there's a good chance there'll be a buck around somewhere close by. She walks on in. She's pretty comfortable. Not really that nervous or anything, and I'm just sitting there watching and hoping that one of the big boys will show up. You know, I'm sitting here watching this lone doe, and she keeps looking over to my left, and I'm looking, and I can't see a thing out that side of the blind. I'm not expecting a deer at all to come from that direction, and like I said earlier, I've got the windows closed up on that side of the blind, and even had that side of the blind mostly brushed in, but she keeps looking over that way, and finally I reach over and take my finger and just pull the window back a little bit and look out, and sure enough, one of the deers I'd been looking for, he's standing over there on that side about 20 yards. Now, as soon as I see this deer, I know instantly which deer it is. It's a deer we've been calling the Sawmill Buck, and I'm sure you guys have seen pictures of him if you've been watching the show. But now I'm here in the blind, got the windows closed to my left, the camera's pointing out the front, I'm by myself self-filming, and the Sawmill Buck is right to my left about 20 to 25 yards. I got to figure out a way to get these windows open, get the camera turned around, and get the rifle out the window. Now, if y'all listen real close, you can hear me inside the blind here trying to figure out a way to get all this done, and you can actually hear me trying to move around, scoot around a little, trying to get the windows open, and I'm trying to do all this without scaring this doe who's 40 yards from me, or this big Sawmill Buck that's about 25 yards from me. Well, now I'm making a little bit of noise here, and this doe, she starts getting nervous. And she keeps looking at me and looking at the blind, and she's getting more nervous, and I'm getting more nervous, and I finally decide that it's now or never, and I just grab the camera and spin it around. Now I get the camera turned around, and I'm starting to freak out a little bit here. You guys can see the deer here in the lower part of the camera, but I can't find him at all. I'm looking all over. I just cannot find this deer. I know he's there. I know he was there just a minute ago. I've kind of been concentrating on this doe, trying to make sure she don't bust me as I'm turning the camera. And I've lost track where this deer is, and it's taking me a little while to find him. I'm sitting here looking for this deer, and if you guys listen real well, you can hear this deer walking around. And I can hear him. He's 20 yards from me, and I cannot find this deer. It's really nerve-wracking, to be honest. You know, it seemed like forever. I was sitting there looking for this deer and looking for this deer, and really it wasn't but just a minute and a half or 2 minutes here. And that's the longest minute and a half or 2 minutes that I've ever been a part of, I can promise you that.
Have you ever dreamed of hunting trophy bucks in Ohio? If you're looking for an adventure to remember, look no further than Trophy Room Adventures. Come join us this fall in Ohio for trophy whitetails. Early and late season bow hunts start at $1,500. Pre-rut and rut, $1,800. Gun hunts for $2,200. All our hunts are 5-day hunts, lodging, meals included. Come hunt with a TRA gang, and let's make your hunt an adventure to remember. Spots are limited, so don't delay.
that shot, unless you sure it's going down. So when
you know, like I said, it only took a minute and a half probably, but it seemed like forever, and it's getting darker and darker, and just any time now I'm going to run out of camera light. Well, finally I catch a glimpse of something moving off to the left, and somehow this deer has snuck down the hill from me and got behind this big tree. He finally steps out, and I try to get the camera around on him, and you guys can see what happens. You know, he finally steps out. I get the camera on him somehow. Thank the Lord. I don't know how it all worked out, but we got it done, and the Sawmill Buck is coming home with me.
Folks, I don't know if you got that, if you can see that or not, but that was a huge buck right there. Huge buck. Well, guys, as I just said, I was lucky enough to be the one in the blind hunting this deer this afternoon. I'd only hunted the Sawmill track 3 or 4 times in the whole 2 years we'd had the property, and it just, luck of the draw, I happened to be the one there. But anyhow, I'm thankful for that. I ain't one of the guys that had been trying to get it, didn't get a chance at it, but at least we got it, and we got it on film for you guys to see. Now guys, after I was lucky enough to harvest this Sawmill Buck, I went online and I wanted this deer. I knew this deer was special. I knew it was going to be Boone and Crockett deer, and I wanted someone that would take the time and really mount this deer and make it look the way it looked in all those trail cam pictures that I'd been getting, and in the video that you just saw. And I actually went on Facebook and I asked our fans, I said, hey, who's the best taxidermist around? Give me your ideas, send me some pictures. I want to pick out who I'm going to let do this deer. And by overwhelming response, Rick Robson of Rick Robson's Taxidermy, his name came up a lot. And I'd never met Rick. I called Rick up on the phone. I actually told Rick what had happened and told him about how I found out about him. And sure enough, he was interested. And Rick and I got together, and he was gracious enough to put a rush on this deer for me, get it back to me. I had the deer back by the end of January, and I was able to take it around to all the trade shows and everything with me this past spring. And just got to say thanks, Rick, for the good job you did, awesome job. And I want to show you guys a little bit of how Rick does things. He does things a little different. I actually love the way Rick does. He'll take a picture or a video of the deer that you bring to him if you have it, and he will do his very best to make this deer match those pictures and that video. He's a true artist. Very few taxidermists out there today do this. Most people buy deer mount, deer form, put the deer on it, voila, there you go, that's what you get. Not Rick. He tries to make these things look as natural as they possibly can, and he's a true artist. You guys take a look at what he does.
Hey folks, this is Rick Robson with Rick Robson's Taxidermy in Dobson, North Carolina. Scott Martin called me a few weeks ago, who's obviously, you know, is with Trophy Room Adventures, and he's asked me to fix his whitetail and wanted me to video and show how I do this. So let's get started. Okay folks, what we're going to do today is get started on Scott's deer head. First thing I'm going to do is go ahead and split and skin out the lips and the ears. And then we're going to start our fleshing and tanning procedure by, once we do a rough flesh, we're going to salt it down and let it lay there for about 12 hours. Then once we do that, we're going to create a pickle and put our hide in there, and we're going to pickle it for about 24 hours or so. And in the meantime, we're going to be checking the pH. Now, all this is real necessary before we mount this deer head, and then once we get the hide ready for mounting or tanned. We're going to sew up what holes that might be in the hide, and then we're going to create a deer form to put this hide on. With that being said, I usually do not buy my deer forms, but I do like to create them and build one in my shop and try to customize something for a customer. So let's get started. I'm going to show you how all this is done. Okay folks, it's been a couple of days now since I've salted the deer hide. I took it off the salt, shook it out yesterday, and went ahead and rinsed it out. Then I made a pickle to which I'm going to put I had put the deer hide in yesterday afternoon and let it sit for about 12 hours or so. Then this morning I've come in, check my pH, make sure my pH is fine, and then I have pulled the hide out. I'm going to let it drain for a little while, and then we're going to start doing some of the shaving on it. And then once we get done with shaving, I'm going to put it back into the pickle for another 12 hours or so before tanning. So anyway, this is what we're going to do. We're going to start off by putting it on my flesher, and I'm going to start shaving this hide down, thinning it down, and getting the meat and the membrane off of it. Okay folks, we've already gotten Scott's deer cape tanned and thinned and ready to be put on the mannequin. Next thing we're going to be doing is building the mannequin. I'm one that likes to customize and build my own stuff instead of order it. Only thing I've ordered on this particular mount is my eyes. I decided to use some white banded glass eyes, and my mannequin head, the form head, I usually build out of Bondo and fiberglass. I prefer it over foam. It just seems to work better for me. You know, it's just my style. But anyway, I didn't have the size of mold that I needed since Scott's deer head had already been caped out and everything. I was unable to make a cast of the head and build that from scratch. So I went and elected and went ahead and ordered a form, a change out head form. So that's what we're going to go with today. So we're going to put this on the mannequin, and then we're going to start carving the mannequin neck. Once this sets up, I'm going to adjust this right here so it'll fit my form, and then we'll start carving and shaping it and getting it, you know, fixed the way I would like to see it. He's asked me to go buy some pictures that he had taken, some game camera pictures. So of this particular deer, and he's got a bunch of them. He had this old boy peg, so we're going to go by that and try to get some poses that I saw in the mannequin that we're going to shape this deer head to one or two of those poses and kind of combine the thing and kind of get a real sharp turn out of this old boy, so we can show off his antlers from the side, plus the neck size. He's got a good neck, and so that's what we're going to do. So we're going to get started here and start carving. First of all, like I said, I'm going to put this head on, and we'll come back and we'll start carving.
Now guys, I don't really have time on the show to show you the whole mounting process from beginning to end, but I do want you to pay special close attention to this next little segment here. This is what really turned me on to Rick, and what I think is the ultimate way to have your deer mounted and taken care of. And Rick's a pro at it, as you guys will see here in just a second. Just watch what Rick's doing. Look at the little picture I got up in the corner, and this is the picture that Rick is using as a reference. And he's not taking time and looking at this picture every time before he makes a cut. He's got this in his head, and he knows what this deer needs to look like. And he just goes at it and starts carving this for him. You guys take a look.
Now, there's one more thing I'd like to point out to you. I usually don't draw anything out. I will just start cutting and shaping this thing to my preference. Another thing is I don't take out large chunks. I'll take out small or fairly thin chunks as I go, and then I will start to eliminate pieces of this and start turning the head and start shaping up the neck and down through the chest and the leg area. So right now it don't look like much. It looks almost like a train wreck and pretty scary. So what we're going to do, we're going to show you how I do this right quick. And it just generally doesn't take that long either. So let's have some fun. So here we go.
If you ever need any taxidermy work done, you want it to look as authentic as possible. You want it to actually look like the deer that you took from the woods. Get a hold of Rick Robson in Dobson. He does an awesome job. He mounts everything from muskrats to horses. He's done a little bit of everything. So you guys check out Rick and get your animals over to him, and he'll take care of them, I promise you. guys, as I said there, I hope you enjoyed the show. I hope you enjoyed our story of the Sawmill Buck, how he came about to be, and how we ended up with him, and how he ended up on the wall right here behind me, as you guys have probably already noticed. Well, it's time to say goodbye here for Trophy Room Adventures. We want to thank y'all for tuning in. We want to thank you for watching. Like always, if you guys want to get in on this action, if you want to come up, you want to try to get on one of these deer that we've been trying to kill, like the Sawmill Buck, would love to have you guys up. I'd be just as tickled to film you killing a monster deer like this as I was the day I killed it myself. So come on up, guys. Book your hunt with us. We'll film it. We'll get you on TV. And hopefully you'll have a trophy like this hanging on your wall. Thank you.
Okay, folks, if you, so just bear in mind that to get it in the fridge, dadgummit, please get it to your taxidermist ASAP. This is tip of the day.